for months, maybe years, running from one thing to the next, juggling deadlines, managing crises, keeping all the plates spinning. You're exhausted, overwhelmed, and you think, I just need a break. I just need everything to calm down for a minute. Then it happens. The project ends. The semester finishes. The busy season passes. Life finally slows down. And instead of relief, instead of peace, you feel something unexpected. Anxiety, emptiness, a strange restlessness that won't go away. You got what you wanted, and somehow it feels worse than being busy. And you realize, with growing unease, that you weren't just running toward things. You were running from something. Some people stay perpetually busy specifically to avoid this moment, filling every second with noise to drown out what emerges in silence. But others, they've learned to face what comes up when life slows down. They've figured out that the discomfort isn't a problem, it's information. So here's what I want to understand. What happens when life finally slows down, and why does it feel so uncomfortable? This is the psychology of stillness, and understanding it might change how you relate to rest forever. To understand what happens when life slows down, we need to understand what busyness was doing for you. For many people, constant activity isn't just circumstantial, it's functional, it serves a purpose. When you're busy, you're occupied, distracted. Your mind is focused on external demands, solving immediate problems, responding to urgent needs. And that focus leaves no room for deeper processing, no room for feeling what you've been avoiding, no room for thinking thoughts you don't want to think. Psychologists call this experiential avoidance, and busyness is one of its most socially acceptable forms. Nobody questions why you're always doing something. In fact, culture celebrates it. Being busy means you're important, productive, needed. But underneath that productivity, you might be running. Running from unprocessed grief, from unresolved conflicts, from questions about whether you're living the life you actually want. And as long as you stay busy, you never have to face those things. Think about what happens physiologically when you're constantly activated. Your stress hormones stay elevated. Your nervous system is in a perpetual state of arousal. You're in survival mode, which means your body suppresses deeper processing functions. You're literally too activated to feel deeply, to think reflectively, to process emotionally. But the moment you slow down, your nervous system starts to regulate. And as it regulates, everything you've been suppressing starts to surface. This is why people often feel worse on vacation than during work, why weekends can feel more anxious than weekdays, why retirement can trigger depression. It's not that rest is bad for you, it's that rest creates space. And when you've been using busyness as a shield, that space gets filled with everything you've been outrunning. The grief you haven't processed, the anger you haven't expressed, the fear you haven't acknowledged, the questions you haven't answered. They all come rushing in the moment you stop moving. Here's where things get uncomfortable. Sometimes what emerges isn't just emotional backlog, it's existential questions. When you slow down, you have time to ask, is this the life I want? Am I happy? Am I living according to my values? Have I been doing what I'm supposed to do or what I actually want to do? These questions are terrifying because answering them honestly might mean changing everything. So you stay busy. Because busy people don't have time for existential crises. Now you might be thinking, so I should just stay busy. Is that the solution? And no, that's not sustainable. Because busyness as avoidance has a cost. Your body pays the price through stress-related illness. Your relationships suffer because you're never truly present. You lose touch with yourself because you never sit still long enough to know what you actually think and feel. The avoidance works temporarily, but eventually it breaks you. Here's my observation. Modern life makes avoiding stillness easier than ever. Infinite content, constant notifications, entertainment on demand. You never have to be alone with your thoughts if you don't want to be. And many people don't want to be. The thought of just sitting, of having nothing to do, of being with themselves without distraction is genuinely frightening. Not because they're boring, but because they're avoiding something. Social media, in particular, functions as an avoidance tool. Feeling uncomfortable? Scroll. Feeling anxious? Scroll. Feeling empty? Scroll. You can postpone your internal experience indefinitely by consuming external content. But that postponement has consequences. You never process what needs processing. The feelings that need feeling never get felt. The thoughts that need thinking never get thought. And they accumulate, building pressure, waiting for any moment of stillness. But let's talk about people who've learned to tolerate stillness, who've made peace with slowness, who don't immediately fill every quiet moment with activity or distraction. They haven't achieved some blissful state where difficult things don't surface. They've just changed their relationship with what emerges. The first step is expecting discomfort. When life slows down, it's normal to feel anxious, restless, or empty. That doesn't mean something's wrong. It means you've created space, and that space is being filled with material that's been waiting to be processed. Instead of immediately filling the space with more busyness, you sit with it. You let yourself feel what you've been avoiding. One powerful practice is what psychologists call urge surfing. When you feel the compulsion to fill the space, to grab your phone, to find something to do, you pause. You notice the urge without acting on it. You ride it like a wave, letting it rise and fall without giving in. And what you discover is that the discomfort is tolerable. It won't destroy you. You can sit with emptiness and survive. There's also power in curiosity instead of judgment. When difficult feelings or thoughts emerge in stillness, instead of thinking, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "something's wrong with me," you ask, "What is this trying to tell me? What have I been avoiding? What needs attention?" You treat what emerges as information, not as evidence of your brokenness. Breaking free from busyness as avoidance requires building what psychologists call capacity for solitude. The ability to be alone with yourself without needing constant stimulation or distraction. This isn't about isolation, it's about being comfortable in your own presence. And it's a skill that requires practice. You start small, 5 minutes without your phone, a walk without a podcast, a meal without entertainment. Just you and your mind. In a world that glorifies productivity and pathologizes stillness, learning to tolerate slowness is revolutionary. It's refusing to run from yourself. It's choosing to face what you've been avoiding. It's recognizing that the discomfort of stillness is often pointing you towards something that needs attention. So if you feel anxious when life slows down, if you can't sit still without feeling restless, if you immediately fill every quiet moment with distraction, if rest feels more uncomfortable than busyness, know this: you're not broken, you're avoiding. And what you're avoiding is probably something important, something that needs to be felt, processed, acknowledged, or changed. The stillness isn't the problem, it's the revealer. And what it reveals, however uncomfortable, is worth facing. Because you can't outrun yourself forever.